in the first place. I get that the term safe space has sort of been perverted over time. It's used online as an insult from right-wing trolls, as if to suggest if you need a safe space in the world, you must just, not be tough enough to handle the world as it is. But the truth is that for communities like ours, for communities that are, constantly threatened by hatred, by discrimination, by bigotry, and ultimately violence every single time we walk out the door, safe spaces like Club Q and Pulse are the places that we carve out for one another. They're refuges. Pulse was one of the first places I ever held hands with someone without looking over my shoulder first. Pulse is one of the first places I ever wore a pair of super skinny jeans without being afraid of what someone would call me. Pulse and Club Q and spaces like that are designed to give people refuge, to give them safety, to allow people to be exactly who they are, to affirm them, to celebrate them. They are a place where LGBTQ people can exhale. And when one of them is invaded like that, it feels like all of them are invaded. That's why Pulse has resonated with LGBTQ people across the world over the last 6.5 years. And it's why Club Q will not be soon forgotten in our community.
President Biden released this statement reading, quote, "While no motive in this attack is yet clear, we know that the LGBTQI plus community has been subjected to horrific hate violence in recent years. We cannot and must not tolerate hate." Brendan, you referenced the fact that there are some very powerful people who rinse and repeat these attacks. What is your message to them on a day like this?
Well, let me just name some of them. First and foremost, my governor, Ron DeSantis, has been trafficking in some of the darkest elements of bigotry in our nation's history against LGBTQ people. He's, dredged up 1970s style homophobia, transphobia, and general anti-LGBTQ sentiment. And what does that do? Well, it might score him political points in the short term. It might help him win the next election cycle, but we have to live with the consequences. And so my message to these lawmakers, these politicians, these powerful voices and influencers is we just want to live. Is that really so much to ask, that we just want to live alongside everyone else, free of discrimination and violence, without fearing that we're going to come face to face with the barrel of an AR-15? We just want to live. And that is made really, really hard when all you do is pump misinformation and vile rhetoric about us into the atmosphere, reducing us to some ideology or shadowy ism, stripping us of our humanity, and ultimately emboldening people who would carry out acts of violence against us.
Brendan, as you know, because you and I have had this conversation one too many times, there are two conversations